What up, Scratch DJ Academy? My name is OP, Artist Relations Manager here in New York City for Serato. And for today's Watch and Learn, we're going to be talking about Serato DJ 1.9.6, in particular MIDI mapping using the Pioneer DJM 900 Nexus 2 mixer. So the first thing you need to do is make sure you go to the Serato website and purchase the Club Kit. The Club Kit allows you to use Serato DJ with the 900 Nexus 2 mixer by plugging the USB directly into the mixer. You don't need a Serato box at all to use it. All right, so you get to a club, they have a 900 Nexus 2 mixer, and you realize that you're only gonna use 2 channels for the mixer to play with for Serato, which means that you have another 2 channels that are completely available for you to use for MIDI mapping. I've learned over time that if I find some controls to be able to do inside of Serato by using these 2 channels that are free, I can do a lot more quickly without having to always go to the computer to get things done. In particular with effects, I personally love the Serato effects that are made by Isotope, and I can control them here, right here on the mixer. But I can also do things like filters inside of Serato. I can also set up some interesting things with some loop rolls here, and even possibly a cue point using some buttons here on the mixer. So let's walk through the process and how that's done. The first thing that you want to do is to make sure that when you plug in the USB to the mixer, that A port for MIDI is turned on. Now, if you're using 2 computers, you want to make sure that both A and B are turned on, so that way A for MIDI for the first computer is set up, and if you have a second computer, B is set up, MIDI is going through to that computer as well, okay? So let's talk about MIDI inside of Serato on the screen to go through some details. So in the top right corner of the screen in Serato, you have the MIDI button, and when you press that, that's going to open up the MIDI panel, and there you can set basically anything to be controlled by MIDI straight to the mixer. The first thing that I'm going to do is work on my effects. So on channels 3 and 4, I want them basically to mirror effect slot number 1 and effect slot number 2 inside of Serato. And I'm going to use these knobs here to be able to control the amounts for those effects. So inside the screen, I'm going to go here, and I realize that I have a single effect set up. So with the single effect, I'm going to go to the first knob that's available for the echo here, and I'm going to click on it. And when I click on it, it's going to turn blue. Once it turns blue, I can turn a particular knob on the mixer, and it should be able to map it right away. So I'm going to take this first EQ here, the high on number 3, and I'm going to turn it. And as I turn this now, inside of the program, I now see that it's turning as well as I turn the knob, okay? Cool, so we have that set. I'm gonna now go to the second parameter and turn that one as well. Again, when you do this, you wanna make sure that you click on the parameter inside the program, and then you turn the knob, and you should see it respond. I'm gonna do that for the third one as well, so I'm gonna click on the parameter, and I'm going to turn the knob, and there it is. So I have all those 3 mapped already very easily inside of Serato. The last thing I'm going to do in terms of the knobs is the trim here. Again, because I'm not using any audio through that channel, I can actually map the trim knob to do something. So I'm going to map the trim knob here to control the amount of beats for the effects, okay? Once I'm done, if I press MIDI, again at the top right corner, it locks all those things in. So if I'm playing a song and I turn these knobs, you'll see them also turn inside of the program. All right, I'm going to do the same thing now for the second deck, now using channel 4 on the mixer. So I'm going to go back to MIDI, click on it, and I'm going to follow the same rules that I did before. I'm going to find the first parameter that I want to map, I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to turn it. And as I turn it, it maps it. The same thing for the second one, clicking on the parameter and then turning, and then also for the third one, clicking and turning, and also again for the beats. And those are all mapped, and they're good to go. Again, I'm going to press MIDI, again in the top right corner, and those are all locked in. So very easily, I was able to map those and have those ready to go. Now, even though we can turn those knobs and have the effect supposedly running, it actually will not run because we don't have it turned on yet. Right now, we're just turning the parameter, but we actually have to turn the effect on itself. So what I'm going to do now is take these buttons here, the Q buttons for channels 3 and 4, and have those be the on buttons for the single effect inside of Serato. So again, going back to MIDI, top right corner, I click on it. And now for the on button for the echo, which I have set up for my single effect on the left deck, I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to press the Q button. Okay, good, there it is. Now, as I press on it, you'll notice that I'm pressing it twice in order to try to get it to turn on and off, right? So now we can change the type of data that is used for this button here. So what I'm going to do is press the letter C here, and I'm going to click through a few different data types, and I'm going to try this one. So now, when I press the button, the on should come on and off. Cool. So I've been able to set the on for the echo for the single effect very easily by being able to map it and then changing the data type inside the program by pressing the letter C. I'm going to do the same thing now for the right deck, and I have the space reverb set for the second deck for effect slot number 2 as a single effect. So I'm going to click on it. Again, I'm going to press until I see it light up, and now I'm going to change it by pressing the letter C for the data type to relative 2's complement, and then now we should be good to go. I'll press MIDI again, and now I have an on and off button for both effect slot number 1 and effect slot number 2, which are being assigned to channels 1 and channel 2 inside the program. So let's listen to see what that sounds like. Turning on the Q, which is the on for the echo. Now I'm turning the high EQ knob, which is the amount for the echo. And now the mids for the EQ, which is the feedback. And also some high pass. So again, very easily, I was able to map different parameters inside of Serato DJ for the effects to channels 3 and 4 on the mixer, and now I have control over it. So now I can have EQs and regular filters or sound coloring effects on channels 1 and 2, which is feeding the audio from Serato out to the audience, and using channels 3 and 4 to be able to control the effects inside of Serato for channels 1 and 2. So the first thing that you want to do is go to the setup, and under the setup you want to go to the MIDI tab. And in the MIDI tab, you want to go down to where it says MIDI presets. Now, normally you're going to see user 1 there for you being the original user on Serato. Now, what you want to do is you want to make one by saving as. This is going to save all the mappings that you just done. So I'll press save as, and now I can name it. When I press OK, now you'll see that it shows up. And because it's in blue, it's telling you that that's the mapping that's being used. Now, when I go to a club, and if I plug up Serato for the first time, and let's say that user 1 is there, then what I can do is I can load the Serato DJ MIDI mapping number 1 by selecting it and then pressing load, and that will load it to be mapped. Once you do that, then anything that you map to the mixer will be able to be used, and you'll be good to go. Once again, this is OP, Artist Relations Manager here at Serato in New York. This is Watch and Learn with Scratch DJ Academy.